Yes, I am at home on my phone.
And then we have concerts. Do you mind if I piss? Has anyone indicated that they will not be able to make it?
Rodrigo. And then I didn't hear back from Welcome, everybody. We're going to be starting shortly. We're going to give everybody an opportunity to join. We have 6 currently joining us.
Is that counting?
No. Are you logged in?
Oh, I was just going to yours. I can.
Our chairperson is with me in my office, so we may not see her necessarily logged in, but she is next to me. Anexus, welcome. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Welcome, Miss McKay. Welcome to my APs, Mr. Stahoviak, Lydia Paredes, and Nestor. Welcome, welcome. We'll wait a few more minutes for others to join. Again, as I have everybody on the line right now, a friendly reminder that off of our website, you can also access our agenda. Mr. Bello, welcome. We're just giving our members an opportunity to join. Estamos dando una oportunidad a nuestros miembros de nuestro concilio para que se conecten con nosotros en esta junta. Welcome, Ms. Alvarez. We're giving the LSC members an opportunity to join.
Hi everyone.
Also, a friendly reminder to the LSC members to open up your March folder to review of the transfer documents that you'll find there, found in the transfers spreadsheet. Un recuerdo, si pueden abrir la carpeta de los transfers de financieros del mes de marzo. Por favor, hagan eso ahorita para revisarlos y ir directamente al voto. Ahorita vamos a empezar en unos 2 minutos. Gracias para todos que pudieron conectarse con nosotros. Thank you all for being patient. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. Okay, thank you all for your patience. We are going to get started right now. And ahorita vamos a empezar la junta. Gracias por todos que pueden participar hoy.
It was 5:10. Welcome, Dr. Lopez.
The microphone's on.
Hello.
So we'll go ahead and call this to order now at 5:10. Are you ready for roll call, or do you need a moment?
I am pulling up our minutes. Give me 1 second, please.
Thank you so much.
I think I am ready for roll call.
Perfect.
Jessica Kearns.
Yep.
Fatima Flamenco. No Fatima. Ruth Cruz. No Ruth Cruz. Nestor Garces. Israel Flores. No Israel. Myself, Melanie Lopez. Alexis Cordova.
Present.
Rodrigo Gonzalez. And Victor Flamenco.
Hi.
Meeting called to order at 5:10. Roll call has been taken. Oh, I'm sorry. Vanessa McKay
Present.
and Principal Escamilla.
Present. And I think Israel Flores just joined.
Yes, my apologies for the tardiness. I just made it in.
No problem. It has been corrected in the minutes. Thank you.
I know that Victor just mentioned in the chat that Fatima, his mother, is not going to be able to join, but I just have a clarifying question for him. Víctor, ¿sabes si tu mamá no va a poder participar hoy o va a llegar un poco tarde?
No va a estar hoy.
Okay, thank you.
I also see in the chat and note that Sergeant Miles has notated, perhaps for public participation, his presence.
So we currently have 7 LSC members, so we do not have quorum. If anybody else joins, then we will, but otherwise this will be an informational only meeting. So we just won't have any votes. For the moment, we will not be able to approve the agenda. Please still take another look at it if you haven't already, or if you haven't in a couple of days. You're displaying that. Thank you. And we will also have to hold off approving the meeting minutes from the last month. So we can go ahead and move on to public participation for the moment. Sergeant Miles, you want to go ahead?
Hello?
Go ahead, Sergeant Miles. We can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Sergeant First Class Miles. I'm here to present another fundraiser for the world's finest chocolate that has been a hot sale ever since I remember for students to do as a fundraiser for the JRTC program. Let me see. The fundraiser itself will serve the purpose of providing JRTC funds to support the JRTC military ball, providing some funds to order equipment, new equipment, replace old equipment, to support buying items for recruiting, and also provide funds for extracurricular activities, field trips, educational field trips that students may attend through the school year. For the remaining of this school year going into the next school year, if funds are still available. At this time, I don't know if the fundraiser document was actually put into the meeting, but I'll try to share what I have from my end.
Yeah, we have the document in our folder that all LSC members can access.
Okay, I'd just like to make a quick change to some of the information that is on the document in reference to the total fundraising amount will still be $6,000, but the total contribution as far as what the school will receive after the fundraiser will not be 50%. It will actually be 42% of the sales. So that comes out to roughly around $2,500 that the school will receive after all the sales are done. Everything else pretty much stays the same as far as $1 per bar and 60 bars, 60 bars being in each bar.
And this is to replace the fundraiser that you had planned to do with Domino's Pizza, correct?
Yes, ma'am. The Domino's Pizza card, there was some slight misunderstanding as far as how that would go about as far as the students are distributing information. So for the time being, that has actually been put on hold in reference to going forward.
We are unable to vote on the fundraiser tonight, but what we can do is we can schedule the vote for it on our next month's agenda. In order to have any votes, we have to both have a quorum and we have to have it listed on the agenda in advance. So we can, I'll make a note for that to go on the April agenda. Do you want to come back to that meeting, or do you want us to just discuss it and follow up with you afterwards?
You can just discuss and follow up.
Okay.
And will that be a follow-up in reference to just whether it's approved or not? Or
Yes. Yeah.
okay.
So while you are here then, does anybody have any questions for Sergeant Miles about this? Let me just get kicked off.
No, you're on here. I'm not sure if you got kicked off through your phone. Yeah, Sergeant Miles, I don't know if you can share briefly with us, how much is it going to cost upfront to initiate doing business with World's Finest Chocolates? And then how many, is it every student in JROTC that will be participating, or is it key cadets?
Okay. Thanks for asking, Mr. Escamilla. It's available for every student. We're ordering 100 boxes that contain 60 candy bars each. And the only upfront price that is required, because it will be shipped out to the school, is $120. That amount will come off the top because it's being shipped to the school.
And so that gets paid to them up front before you have received any money from the sales, correct?
Yes.
Is that coming out of your department's budget? Where is that money coming from?
That will come out of JROTC funds.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
What happens if they don't, the boxes that you order, what happens with any that don't sell?
Good question. I've asked Ms. Kern that same question, who's the representative that's sponsoring us with the sales. If there are any candy bars that are not sold, we return those candy bars back as long as the candy bars have not been opened or somewhat been unraveled. We can return those candy bars without being charged.
Okay.
Ruth Cruz is trying.
And so then the payment, other than that $120, the payment for the boxes of candy bars gets made after the sale closes, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have other questions?
Solamente para poder traducir para los que estaban escuchando, Sergeant Miles quiere proponer esta venta de chocolates que va a comprar 100 cajas de chocolates que contienen 60 chocolates dentro de la caja, y va a pagar $120 para que se manden los chocolates a la escuela, para que los estudiantes puedan vender y ayudar a apoyar el programa de JROTC, el programa militar aquí de la escuela de Foreman, pagando el baile que tienen cada año, en ayudando en comprar cosas para poder informar a las primarias, a las escuelas de nuestro programa, y poder crear un interés aquí en el programa del programa militar aquí de la escuela, y también para comprar cosas que se necesitan para el programa, equipo para el programa. Y ahorita se hicieron unas preguntas sobre cómo van a pagar por los chocolates, y va a usar los fondos que ahorita tiene el programa de JROTC. Y también se hizo una pregunta sobre quién va a vender los chocolates, si van a ser todos los estudiantes del programa o unos estudiantes, y está explicando que van a ser todos, que van a tratar de vender lo más que puedan.
Anybody has other questions?
¿Hay más preguntas? Any additional questions?
Thank you, Sergeant Miles. Mr. Escamilla and I will be in touch after the April meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And then Ms.
Ruth?
Cervello?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Cervello, can you you have the floor now.
Hi, good evening. I'm sorry, I'm in an awkward space here. I am Andy Cervello, and I am currently the varsity softball coach for Foreman. We haven't had a team in many years, and we're working on rebuilding that. We'd like to do a fundraiser for any additional equipment, possible travel expenses, and essentially, yes, that's it. The fundraiser we're looking to do is called Double Good Popcorn. It doesn't cost us anything. We don't have any upfront money. We don't have to deliver anything. We don't have to take any money. We set it up online, and the students will have their own little link or profile, and they just share it with people. Whoever buys the popcorn pays Double Good, and the popcorn is sent from Double Good to the recipient. At the end of the sale, we will get 50% of whatever our total is. That's pretty hands-off, easy fundraiser, I think. So
La recaudación de fondos que se está informando a la señora Cervello, que es encargada de nuestro equipo de softball aquí de la escuela, quiere hacer unas cuentas de trabajar con una compañía que abre cuentas para los estudiantes que puedan informar a la pública de la venta de popcorn. Y los que compran simplemente mandan el dinero y 50% de ese dinero de cada venta de popcorn se le va al equipo de softball aquí de la escuela. So no hay necesariamente business de que está haciendo la escuela con esta compañía, es simplemente que ellos están dedicados en dar 50% al equipo de las ventas que se hacen del popcorn.
Do you have a copy of the form to fill out with the info to submit that goes over?
it's all online. They don't have any copies of anything. I printed what I could from that, but that's all that they have because everything is online.
No, there's a form that we do, like for the school records.
Sí.
Oh,
and the
I turned that into Ms. Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'll get a copy of that from her. So just like with Sergeant Miles, in order to vote on a fundraiser, we have to have it on the agenda ahead of time. Like not just to have it listed that you'll be here for public participation, but to have that vote as a line item. So we'll go ahead and put that on for April. And then I'll get a copy of the form from Ms. Gonzalez. Do you want to come back to that meeting, or do you want us to just follow up with you afterwards? Oh, okay, thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
I believe it's actually on one of our game days.
Okay. So you want us to just follow up with you afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay. While you are here, let's go through and see if anybody has questions for you. I know it sounds pretty straightforward, but just in case.
It is. The other thing I can say is the average bag of popcorn is $10. So we'd be making $5 off every bag that's sold.
And Mr. Escamilla, Ms. Gonzalez said that, said that the form is in the folder.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind sharing that on the screen?
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
And I unmuted us. Are there any additional questions? Si hay preguntas para esta recaudación de fondos de la venta de popcorn para el equipo de Fast Pitch Softball de la escuela.
In regards to how much I hope to make, I have no idea. I've heard people make significant amounts of money, and I've never done this. So I minimally went to 500. I think that that's a doable number, but I would hope that we would be able to get more than that.
Yeah, it can be hard to project.
Y también explica que cada bolsa más o menos se vende por $10 y el equipo recibe 50%, que son $5 por cada venta. Any questions? Hay preguntas?
Yeah, we can find this information in the website from Foreman, correct?
I'm sorry, was that question for me?
Yes, we can find the information on the website, yes?
Oh, yes, everything's on the website. I can put the link in the chat if you'd like.
I don't know if you be able, because I know you said that the students will pretty much, they will put in their websites and they will promote on themselves. Is that correct?
Yeah, if we open the website and look at it, it'll tell you there's a group, and they put their picture on there if they want. They put their name, they put what they're fundraising for, and essentially they just send that link out to anyone. It can be a competition between the group. What you'll see is who is earning the most for the group and what our total is. And on the fundraiser, for the visual, I would certainly put a bigger number as a goal so that, people are motivated to help us meet that. But yeah, that's it. There's just links. Send it out. Hopefully we can just send it out to all the teachers. Just keep sending them out. Whoever buys popcorn, that benefits us.
Okay.
We'll be voting on that. On it, the LSC members will vote on that at the next meeting, and then if that is approved, then we'll make sure that all of the info gets sent out to all of the Foreman families.
Yeah, because that would be a good idea to help the. Yeah. And this will be like the first year for you guys to bring back the softball team, yes?
Yes, that is correct. My understanding is it's been at least 4 years.
Okay.
I'm just kind of curious, like how many students do you hope to have involved? The entire team? How many people on the team?
Yes, the entire team, myself, my assistant coach as well. So I imagine we'd have a minimum of 13 to 15 people sending out this link and in this competition.
How many students are in the team right now?
About 13 currently. I'm having some problems with students getting physicals, and I guess we can't really get a van to the school to provide that. We don't have a clinic here, so we're kind of caught up in some of that with 2 or 3 of the students. Probably pretty disappointed at this point. I'm trying to keep their interest, but only so much I can do for that. But
dice que ahorita tiene 13 estudiantes en el equipo, que ojalá que pueda tener más, y es difícil para seguir con el interés, pero ella está tratando, ella puede tener este equipo, pero ahorita lo que se le hace difícil es los estudiantes cumpliendo los físicos médicos que necesitan entregar.
If there are no other questions, then we'll go ahead and move on, and we'll just be in touch with you after the game, and good luck at your game.
so I put a link from their website that would walk you through like what a demo store looks like. And any other information you would need is just directly there.
Thank you so much. We do not have any old business that isn't already going to be addressed in reports. So we can go ahead and move on to new business. Are you filling us in on the elections? Or is that Israel?
No, that is Nestor.
Oh, okay. Mr. Garces? Yes. Yes, I did notice that, and I did make a note of it. I appreciate you making sure. Because we have people waiting for their own reports, I'd like to still keep moving through in order so that they're not left waiting. But then I do plan to circle back to approving the agenda and the minutes at the end, as well as the budget transfers. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Could you quickly repeat what date that was for again?
The deadline is April 12th.
Okay, so the window's already open. Thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody else have a question?
I need to move to my report. Okay.
So a quick apology from me. I know I just said that we would actually be proceeding into reports after this, but we do have one LSC member that needs to leave soon. So if we could actually quickly go back to approve the agenda and the minutes, to review them and hold that vote while she is still here, that would be great, to ensure that we have quorum. So my apologies to those of you who are attending the meeting to help out with the reports. We will try and make this brief. If everybody could go ahead and take another look at the agenda, that would be great.
Ahorita los miembros del concilio van a revisar la agenda para poder pasar la agenda con el voto. I second the motion.
Dr. Lopez? We can go ahead and vote.
Yes, give me 1 second, sorry. I'm typing into the minutes as well. Ms. Kearns?
Aye.
Fatima Flamenco is still not here. Ruth Cruz is not here. Israel Flores?
Ruth Cruz is here.
I'm here.
Okay, Ruth Cruz?
Yes, I'm here, present.
Thank you. And your vote? Aye?
Aye.
Israel Flores?
Aye.
Nestor Garces? Alexis Cordova?
Aye.
Rodrigo Gonzalez?
Rodrigo is not here.
Victor Flamenco?
Aye.
Vanessa McKay?
Aye.
And Principal Escamilla?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yep. Let me pull up the minutes from last meeting.
Would you like me, Ms. Kearns, to proceed with the minutes?
Yeah, Mr. Escamilla is pulling it up right now to share the screen.
So again, the minutes are also found on our website, but I'm displaying the minutes from our last meeting now.
And does anybody have any questions or comments, or do we have a motion to approve as they are? Transmitting.
Si hay preguntas ahorita o si hay una moción para poder pasar el voto y pasar los minutos de la última junta.
If there are no questions, I motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
I second that, Cruz.
Ms. Kearns, your vote?
Aye.
Okay, I'm doing the call now. Ms. Kearns?
Sorry, I said aye.
Okay. Mr. Escamilla?
Aye.
Israel Flores?
Aye.
Nestor Garces? Victor Flamenco?
Aye.
Alexis Cordova?
Aye.
Rodrigo Gonzalez?
He's absent.
Okay. Vanessa McKay?
Aye.
And did Rodrigo, was he originally here? I have him marked as present.
No.
No, it was not.
My apologies. Motion passes.
Okay, now if we can go to our folder for our transfers.
And then have your report after this, so that we don't keep them.
That's fine.
Thank you. You're going to put up on the screen as well? Or just have us look at it?
Yeah, it's just the LSC members. If you can open up your folders and review the transfers at this time.
Ya empiezo, ¿verdad? Pensaba que sí, perdón.
Does anybody have any questions about the transfers, or do we have a motion to go ahead and move forward with a vote? Oh,
Unmuted. Go ahead. Okay. If you want to repeat your question.
Yeah, are there any questions? And if not, do we have a motion for a vote?
I motion to approve the transfers.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'd like to second that motion.
All right, Dr. Lopez?
Ms. Kearns?
Aye.
Ruth Cruz?
Aye.
Nestor Garces? Israel Flores?
Aye.
Alexis Cordova?
Aye.
Victor Flamenco?
Aye.
Vanessa McKay?
Aye.
Anthony Escamilla?
Aye.
And Ms. Kearns.
I said aye.
Okay. Myself, aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Great. And that is the last of our votes for tonight. So we can go ahead and move on to the reports. Thank you to those of you who have joined for this and have been patiently waiting. We will go ahead and actually start with those of you who, Dr. Lopez.
I'm sorry, I know this is the last of our votes, but given the two fundraisers that were brought up, would we also be voting on those today now that we've reached quorum?
No, they have to be voted on in April because they were not on the agenda to begin with.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Yep. Okay.
Did you want to go with the student representative presentation or report?
Yeah, I just
So, estudiantes, si pueden seguir con su reporte, yo voy a parar de enseñar mi pantalla para ustedes poder enseñar sus pantallas.
Okay.
Alexis.
Okay. We with the principal have been asking for the all students what they think about some of their classes, and most of the result of the 83 of the answers were from. ¿Puedes pasar la página, por favor?
Pero.
Were from the 22% for ninth grade, the 28 for 11, the 50% for 12th grade, and the 32% of the 10th grade. Pasa la página, por favor. We asked about what are the opinion of the English classes, and most of them rating that, and 4 of 5. The 1 is the lowest rating of that, and the 5 is the highest. The 41% of them put 4, like the most of the 50%. No, minor the 50%. Okay. ¿Puedes pasar a la otra? Okay. And also we asked about classes like math, and most of them, not all of them, put 4, and 3 and 5 of they like math. Víctor, puedes seguir hablando.
¿En qué te casas? ¿Aló?
En eso.
¿Quieres que traduzca, Víctor, las primeras 3 que ya reportaste antes de seguir?
Sí, está bien.
Somebody's going to translate when she's...
Ok. Nosotros enviamos un correo a los estudiantes preguntándoles sobre sus opiniones sobre las clases. En esta encuesta, pues tenemos un 22.9% de los estudiantes que son de freshman un 10%, un 32% de los estudiantes que son sophomore, un 28% de los estudiantes que son juniors y un 15% que son de seniors. La primera pregunta, opinión de los estudiantes fue de la clase de inglés y tuvimos un 3.6% de que sienten que no es atractiva y no es lo suficientemente desafiante. Tenemos un 7.2 que son 6 votos, que lo sienten casi igual, un 24.1%, un 20 personas, que lo sienten como 50-50. Tenemos un 34 personas con un 41% que lo sienten un poco más, y un 24.1% que son 20 personas que sí lo sienten atractivo y desafiante. Después tenemos la clase de matemáticas y aquí tenemos un 6% de 5 personas que no lo sienten tan desafiante, un 3.6% que lo sienten casi igual, un 23 personas con 27.7% que lo sienten entre 50-50, un 36% que lo sienten casi igual y un 26.5% de las personas que sí lo sienten desafiante. Alexis.
Okay. In the class of science, most of the students put a rating that class with a 3. It's like the middle one, no, like they don't like too much, but they don't hate it. So they are in the middle. And they are the 38% of the opinion. Puede seguir para la otra, por favor. And the science classes, they rated like in 4 and 3, most of them. That is 32%, and 30% of the answers. Most of them like science, and the other 30, 36% they don't like too much. So, puede seguir, Víctor.
Sigo yo, ¿verdad?
Te lo estaba pasando a ti para traducir.
Perdón, pensaba que decía de la siguiente página. Ok. En esta sección tenemos las opiniones sobre las clases de ciencias sociales. En esta tenemos un 4.8% de las personas que no lo sienten tan desafiante. Un otro 4.8% de 4 personas que tampoco no lo sienten tan desafiante. Y tenemos un 38.6% de 32 personas que lo han sentido como un 50-50 entre sí y entre no. Un 34.9% que son 29 personas que lo han sentido un poco más desafiante, y un 16.9% que son 14 personas que sí lo han sentido muy desafiante. Esta es una sesión donde las opiniones de las clases de ciencia en general, que tenemos un 8.4% con 7 personas que no lo han sentido tan desafiante, un 7.2% con 6 personas que lo han sentido un poco más, pero no mucho, un 30% con 25 personas que lo han sentido entre 50-50, entre sí y entre no, un 32% de 27 personas que lo han sentido un poco más, 21.7% que son 18 personas que sí sí lo han sentido desafiante. Um, I will continue with this because next is will go on. So in this section, we have the opinion of the P class in general. We have 12% with 10 people who don't like so much the P class. 4.8% with 4 people that don't like to so much, but un poco remote. And we have 25.3% with 21 people that feel 15-15. We have 28.9% with 24 people that like a little more. We have another 28.9% with 24 people that they feel that this forest is feel good. They like. En esta sección tenemos las opiniones de las clases de PE, de las clases del gym, de deporte, y tenemos un 12% con 10 personas que no lo han sentido tan desafiante. Tenemos un 4.8% y con 4 personas que no lo han sentido un poco más, pero no mucho. Un 25.3% que son 21 personas que lo han sentido como un 50-50, 28.9% con 24 personas que lo han sentido con un poco más de esfuerzo, y otro 28.9% con 24 personas que ellos sí lo han sentido que han trabajado mucho, o sea, desafiante. In this section, we have opinion of music and art classes in general. We have 7.2% with 6 people that not engaging and not challenging note. We have another 7.2% with 6 people that is the same, but they feel more. We have 18.1% with 15 people that they feel 50-50. We have another that is 26.5% that are 22 people that I feel more forced. In the last, we have 41% with 34 people, and they feel that they like the class, that they feel the challenging, and that is oh no, se me olvidó en español. This is in Spanish. Estas son las opiniones de la clase de música y arte. Tenemos un 7.2% de 6 personas que no han sentido tanto esfuerzo en eso, ni tanta empatía. Otro 7.2% con 6 personas que lo han sentido como un poco más, pero no lo suficiente. Tenemos un 18.1% con 15 personas que lo han sentido como un 50-50 entre medio. tenemos un 26.5% con 22 personas que lo han sentido mejor, más esfuerzo. Y por último tenemos un 41% con 34 personas con que la han sentido, que le han, que lo han sentido suficiente desafiante. This is the finish of my presentation, and thank you for listening me. Gracias por escucharme y de aquí termino.
Thank you both.
Thank you. What I'm going to do, if there are any questions for the students, you can ask now, or I know that I can share that their intention is to bring this information back to teachers so that teachers can make adjustments to their instruction and continue to help engage and make the curriculum challenging. So lo que puedo decir es que si tienen preguntas está bien, pero los estudiantes quieren traer esta información a los maestros para que puedan hacer sus ajustes a su currículo y su instrucción. Muchísimas gracias, estudiantes. Go ahead, Israel.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for that presentation. It was good to see the visuals of the students' opinions. Entonces, gracias por esta presentación. Es bueno ver las opiniones de los estudiantes así visualmente. Y algo que me di cuenta es que lo de música y arte es algo que los estudiantes votaron que perdón, ¿era que sí les gustaba o que no les gustaba? Para clarificar.
El uno es de que no lo han sentido tan, pues, tampoco, también es decirlo como que no le han gustado tanto. Así que pues se podría decir que en esa clase la mayoría sí le gustó. Que,
Ok.
que sería un 5, que sería en un 41%.
Sí. Sí, nada más, gracias por la respuesta y es bueno que ver eso, porque cuando yo iba a la escuela ahí, mi hermano también, él tocaba saxofón y eso es algo que a él le gustaba mucho y nada más quería decir eso. I just wanted to say thank you for what he just mentioned, that the students were are liking art and music, and I just recalled my time at Foreman. My brother was there too a few years before me, and he was big in a saxophone player, and that came about from the school, and just wanted to uplift that. Gracias. Thank you.
I have a question if nobody else is waiting. When the students were surveyed, did they just give a ranking, or were they also asked to give feedback on what improvements they would like to see? Do you mind translating?
La pregunta es, Víctor, que si la encuesta y las preguntas nada más preguntaron para los ratings o los números, las calificaciones de las clases, o si también pidieron opiniones para que los puedan poner en escrito. Pero nada más nosotros hicimos la encuesta para que sea rápido y no para que den mensajes, pero tú puedes responder.
¿Me lo puedes repetir, por favor?
Que si le dimos una oportunidad a los estudiantes que escriban sus respuestas en vez de nada más dar un número.
¿Esa es la pregunta o lo que tengo
Sí, esa
que
es la
decir?
pregunta.
Ajá.
Pero la respuesta es que nada más le dimos la oportunidad de dar el número. No dimos... es que, ¿te acuerdas? Ese tipo de encuesta va a ser muy larga. But I can share. We just gave the opportunity to give a ranking because we wanted the surveys to be quick and simple instead of them having to type things out, because then we get very little response then.
If there were rankings, I was going to ask what that would be.
Sí, perdón, no sé muy bien cómo traducir eso.
Sí, yo puedo traducir que nada más le dimos la oportunidad a los maestros, a los estudiantes, de dar un número de calificación para sus clases. Es que cuando me junté y me reuní con el grupo de Víctor, Alexis y Rodrigo, quisimos hacer una encuesta bien rápida para que no tomen mucho tiempo en dar su opinión los estudiantes. O nada más dimos la oportunidad de dar un número en vez de un mensaje que necesitaba mucho texto. Any other questions? So what I'm going to do is part of my presentation was to elaborate on a portion of culture and climate, which I want to turn over immediately to my assistant principal because I know she has a family and I don't want to hold her here for the entire evening, and I know I still have to do my presentation. So I'd like to turn it over to Lidia Paredes. She has been our assistant principal who has been supporting the culture and climate and restorative practices within our school. And I think it's kind of timely that as we've been looking at some of our data here, that we highlight some of this with our LSC. Take it away, Lidia. You can share your screen whenever you're ready.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So like Mr. Escamilla was sharing with you all in his brief introduction, I have been at Foreman for about a little bit over a year. And this year, or this school year, I started working more closely with the discipline team as well as our security team and looking at with our analysis of our data from last school year, what are some areas that we can focus on addressing? So at the beginning of the school year, we set some goals, or I set some goals in terms of what we would want to accomplish this year and then moving forward, because we all know that we can take some time to improve, but change is going to come year after year. And so I just want to share on some of those goals that we set, and some of this work was done in conversation with the culture and climate team, and some of this work was done in conversation with the security team, and some of this work was done in conversation with the admin team. So from these conversations, as well as my analysis of the discipline data from last year, we set the goal of the restorative interventionist team to create a safe and welcoming learning environment by defining expectations and responsibilities related to academics and behavior within and outside of the classroom that aligns with the goals of the school and our student code of conduct, and communicating those to all stakeholders. Our goal was to do this by developing restorative school-wide and classroom structures that would support student participation and inclusion within our learning environment, proactively addressing needs outlined by the 2021 and 22 infraction data. And this was going to be accomplished through the development of clear response and communication structures. The restorative office would continue to provide adequate individualized restorative support and consequences to students who would violate our school-wide and FCCA expectations. So our intent was really to look at not only at the individual student, but also at like what is happening within the school building and how we can create structures that are going to help us support the entire building and the safety and security of the entire building. So we wanted to look at not only our reactive measures that we were taking and how we were responding to students based on the infractions that they were committing, but we also wanted to start implementing proactive actions. So we looked again with that analysis of the data from last school year. We saw that our highest level of infractions, which was within our level 1 and level 4 infractions. So our goal was to address those level 1 and level 1 infractions that would ideally help us have a positive impact on a reduced level 4 infractions, because level 4 infractions are infractions related to student safety around fighting and such that become a concern to parents. And so we wanted to address those two proactively. And we were looking at that by monitor attendance, having attendance contracts, working on check-in and check-out processes, and also like a mentorship program. We continued to also acknowledge the fact that there has to be consequences for a violation of the student code of conduct, and we're consistently being proactive in our hallways, and the security team is consistently working on getting students into classes and making sure that students are safe and not are where they're supposed to be, which is in the classroom, in their learning environment. So we were responding, and we continue to respond to the need within those level 1 infractions, which was, from our data we saw, was a lot of infractions related to attendance. And so that's why we saw a need for us to be proactive in our hallways and redirecting students to classes as necessary. As a result of that, we switched from, which was in the past an out-of-school suspension for attendance-related infractions, to an attendance restorative class. So that was one big shift that we took on this school year. So instead of our students having a consequence because of their loitering or because of their difficulties with attendance, that would lead them to then be further out of the building through out-of-school suspensions, we started an attendance restorative class with the goal of addressing those students that are having a difficult time making it to class and supporting their academic growth within that environment. So some of these students, when they come into this space, they set goals academic goals. They work on bringing up their grades. They have a very clear structure on the number of tasks or assignments that they have to complete, for example. And then they also look at their attendance and reflect on how that is impacting their success in school. So one thing that I learned when I came to Foreman is our Pride campaign and the positive impact that it's supposed to have on recognizing positive behavior. So we want to, again, as I said before, acknowledge the fact that through our student code of conduct, there's consequences for behaviors, but also then recognize positive behaviors and growth within our students. So we continue to support and work with the Pride campaign to help us recognize those positive behaviors and highlight the behaviors that we believe are going to lead to success within our student population. So this was discussed and was set in place at the beginning of the school year. And now we are getting closer. We're starting the fourth quarter, and we're looking at our data and looking at what impacts has it had in our data and what are we seeing in our hallways, as well as what are we seeing not only in our hallways, but also with our infractions. So I'll take a step back and just let you guys take a moment to look at this data.
So as people are looking at this data, just a quick reminder that the low-level infractions are the lower numbers, and the higher-level infractions are obviously the higher-level numbers that paint more serious infractions within the student code of conduct.
So you'll notice here that, as I was discussing earlier, our goal was to really target those low-level infractions, which is the level 1 infractions, with our goal to then have a positive impact on those higher level infractions, which would be, like example, you have highlighted a 3-3, which is fighting. You have highlighted a 4-3, which is like assault or an attempt to hurt an individual, or a 4-6, which is again fighting, but this is like a fighting with more than 2 individuals. So we see in this data that there's a few numbers that have gone up. Our 1-5 and our 1-6, as well as our 3-5, has drastically increased. And this may give us the impression that it's because, well, how did we go from 6 to 1,265 for our 3-5? And when I'm looking at this data, what I'm recognizing is that the systems that we're putting in place to track and monitor and also respond to these infractions they're working. We have been consistently responding to attendance-related infractions, persistent tardiness, which could then also which could lead to a 3-5. And so I'm seeing in this data that those systems that we put in place at the beginning of the school year are continuing to be implemented, and that's why we're seeing those high numbers in that area. And I think it should also be highlighted that not only are we seeing those high numbers in our data, but this is also implying that every time that we have a student is reflected in our data, let's say with the 2,144, those are individual interactions that we're having with students on a day-to-day basis that are now leading from what we're seeing to lower numbers in other areas of our data. So for example, if we look at 3-3, fighting 2 people with no injuries, last year we had 42 documented cases, and this year we've had 16 documented cases. If I take a look at fighting more than 2 individuals, last year we had 48 cases, and this year we've had only 2 documented cases. And while our goal is to get that down to 0 for both of these cases, it's a significant decrease from last year, and I think that this is owed based from those individual interactions and our awareness of students' whereabouts within the building, and our push and our shift in redirecting students to class and being aware of their behaviors in the hallway in a more systematic approach. When we take a look at this, it's also important to see, well, is this a trend that we're only seeing in our data here at Foreman, or is this a trend that's happening along within our network? So those infractions that I think as a parent would be higher concern for me with the 3-3 fighting and the, let's say 4-6, again, another fighting code, we're seeing that as of right now in the school year, we're only at 38% of where we were, where we ended last year. When we look at our Network 14 data, their percentage of how many documented cases have been documented is significantly higher than us, almost double our count. When we look at, again, fighting more than 2 individuals, we're only at 4% of the documented cases to date, while at the network level, they're at 36% of the documented cases to date. So in both of these areas, or in 3 of these areas, we're significantly lower than what is happening within our network. So I'm pausing here, and if you have any questions or.
And so again, just by just to define what network, what Ms. Paredes means by network is all of the high schools encompassing this area of the north side of Chicago or northwest side of Chicago are taken into account in Network 14. And that's what we mean by network.
So we wanted to highlight this data today because we're really proud of what our security team is doing. We're really proud of the efforts that the culture and climate team, as well as the restorative interventionist team, is taking to change the approach to discipline to be more restorative and also be more responsive to our students' needs. We saw, for example, here, and this is language from the student code of conduct, and I wanted to respect that language, so I'm leaving it here, like an attempt or reasonable threat to inflict injury. So this is basically something that you would document when there is a threat of something happening. And we are higher here. And I think this speaks to the fact that we're just more responsive to our student needs and to what we're hearing within the hallways, and responsive to the point that we're preventing things from happening and supporting students from either, instead of engaging in conflict, having restorative conversations, having peace circles, so that we could resolve conflicts before they take place. And we are also acknowledging that it really takes an entire community to address these issues, in which this has led us to kind of look at the security team as the first point of that response to student safety, and then really looping the security team and working with the security team on setting goals, as well as reflecting on what's happening and having these more routine meetings with them so that we could address and discuss student needs. So some of our glows have been around that. We have been in collaboration with New Roots, or we've developed a partnership with New Roots this year that has led us to have a training for the security team on restorative practices, as well as there was more recently a whole school-wide PD offered through tiers on restorative practices. We continue to collaborate again with tiers and conscious disciplines to start to look at how we're going to create this and continue to develop this as a school-wide initiative and a school-wide approach to discipline, I should say, instead of initiative. We have added new members to our team around that have begun to support our discipline needs, and also begun to just become mentors for our students to be able to talk through and resolve conflicts, and have an area to resort to when necessary. And another one of our goals, I would say, is that the consistent response to our needs in the hallways, in the classroom, is leading to these successes within our data and successes in maintaining a safer school environment. We will continue to develop and roll out the mentorship program, which was one of the parts of this plan that we had set up, one of the parts of our goal. And that's currently, we're looking to start 2 mentorship groups this week with one of the mentors that we just added to our group. We are going to continue to develop a restorative team, PLC, with our security team, our conscious discipline team, and collaboration with our culture and climate team. And we hope to continue to create, set, and make expectations related to pride visible within our school building, not only in the classroom, but outside in common areas. So I'll pause here, and if you have any questions, feel free to unmute and ask your question.
With the attendance issues, is that more like missing full days or missing specific classes?
So specifically through this system, we're looking at students that are coming into the building and then not making it to their classes. So they're coming into the building and are loitering. When you look at discipline data, it specifically indicates where things happened. So that's something that we would have to report, right? And many of the conflicts that were taking place, it was happening within the hallways. So again, our response since the beginning of the school year has been more so like, let's addressing this issue, which has led us to be focused on putting and helping students, redirecting students to their classes, which provides them contact with an adult, provides them contact, also has them in their class, which is going to help them be academically successful. But that's where this attendance data is coming from, or that specific infraction would be related to.
Thanks. That's what I was wanting to make sure I understood. Any other questions?
I'm just curious, how many security officers are there at school?
So right now we have 6 security officers, but we would have a full team of 8. So we are currently, one person is being currently onboarded. So they're being added to our team, and they will be added by the end of this week. They're currently going through training. But even within our security team, we've really talked about like how we're rotating throughout the building, and how based on the different stations that they're supporting at that time, how we're communicating. So for example, we have our radios, right? And so based on what they're seeing, they're communicating on the radio what is happening, or if there's a group of students that's loitering by a staircase, then they're communicating with each other to either support each other, or if they're redirecting the students to the class, letting the security member on that floor know this student is going to their class. Can you please make sure that they make it to their class? So there's constant communication between our security team, which I think is also leading to the success that we're seeing within our discipline data.
And last question. And what point? Because I recall that there's a resource officer.
Yes.
What part does he play? What role does he play in this?
That's a very good question. So our resource officers are more like mentors within our school building, and they work with students to help guide their decision making. So they're not security members. They don't play that role. So you won't see them in the hallway redirecting students, for example. So if there's sometimes a conflict with a student and we know that that resource officer has a positive relationship with that student, that resource officer can engage in a conversation with a student and help the student reflect on, let's say, behaviors if there was a conflict that they were having. So the resource officers are also serving as mentors because they develop really strong relationships with some of our students in guiding them and just being, like their name suggests, resources for them. And so I do consider them to be part of this restorative interventionist team because they are part of helping us restore the student's relationship to the learning environment, or also help students repair harm when they've engaged in conflict, but they're not doing the same day-to-day tasks that the security teams are doing.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. Just translations.
Sure. Lydia, can you translate your entire presentation again?
Sure.
So maybe in a nutshell, just give some findings, and but you don't have to translate the entire thing.
Okay. Okay, so, buenas tardes todos. Voy a compartir un poquito de lo que acabo de discutir en mi presentación. La meta de esta parte de la presentación era compartir un poquito acerca de lo que estamos viendo en nuestros sistemas de disciplina y los resultados de esos sistemas de disciplina. So, al principio de este año, basado en mis observaciones y las conversaciones que había tenido con equipos como el equipo de seguridad, el equipo de Culture and Climate, nos dimos una meta de tratar de integrar sistemas en nuestro día que iban a ayudarnos a tener un impacto positivo en áreas de nivel 1 de infracciones y nivel 3 o 4. Como dijo el señor Escamilla, las infracciones, como se dice en el Código de Comportamiento Estudiantil, son más graves dependiendo en el número que son. So, si son nivel 1, son menos graves, nivel 2 son más graves, nivel 3 son más graves, y así se van aumentando la gravedad del nivel. El año pasado vimos que había nuestras áreas que se representaban más necesidad eran los de nivel 1, que la mayoría de esos son relacionados a asistencia, y nivel 4, la mayoría de esos son relacionados a conflictos que en veces llegaban a ser peleas en nuestro edificio. Pusimos sistemas en pie para que podamos tener un impacto positivo en la área de nivel 1, que en nuestra meta era que iba a tener resultados en reducir las peleas en los pasillos o áreas que se nos harían de más preocupación para, por ejemplo, los padres. Lo que empezamos a ver fue, por ejemplo, aquí, perdón, empezamos a documentar con más frecuencia y en una manera más con un sistema las infracciones que tenían relación a la asistencia. Esto era estudiantes que, por ejemplo, estaban en el edificio y no estaban llegando a sus clases. Estaban en el edificio y en vez de estar en los pasillos o están en los escalones o están en el baño. Queríamos poner un enfoque en esta infracción, porque cuando vimos las peleas que estaban sucediendo el año pasado, la mayoría de esas peleas, o casi el 100% de las peleas estaba pasando en los pasillos. ¿Qué está sucediendo? Está sucediendo que los alumnos están en los pasillos, no tienen la supervisión adecuada, están entrando en conflicto y en veces lo que vemos es que los alumnos entran en conflicto y las cosas se pueden muy pronto convertir en una pelea si no tienen el apoyo de un adulto en resolver ese conflicto. Vimos por el hecho de que estamos viendo esos sistemas en pie, estamos viendo un aumento en el número de infracciones que se están documentando que se relacionan a tardanza a esa clase y también que los alumnos que no están asistiendo a sus clases. Estos son alumnos que están en el edificio otra vez, pero no están llegando a sus clases. Empezamos a documentar esto, pero no nada más lo estamos documentando, sino que esto también quiere decir que hay una conversación que se tiene que llevar a cabo entre un adulto y uno de nuestros estudiantes antes de que se documente esto. Entonces, aquí vemos un aumento en la cantidad de veces, pero no creo que esto necesariamente sea negativo, sino que esto reflexiona en que estamos siguiendo nuestros procesos y estamos hasta hoy en día, lo que empezamos al principio del año se está siguiendo se está aplicando de todos modos. El resultado que está teniendo esto, por ejemplo, es que las áreas como infracciones que se relacionan a las peleas, que sería como un 3.3 o un 4.6, han bajado significativamente de un 42 el año pasado a un 16 que se está documentando hasta hoy en día. De un 48 que se documentaron el año pasado, 48 peleas que involucraban más de 2 alumnos, a solamente 2 que se han documentado este año. Y estamos viendo esto, yo diría, porque nuestra seguridad y nuestro equipo de disciplina está respondiendo con más rapidez a los conflictos o el potencial de un conflicto entre 2 alumnos. Nos preguntamos también, porque es importante comparar y ver si es algo que se está viendo en todo nuestra área o con otras escuelas, por ejemplo, o si es algo que está pasando aquí en la Foreman, simplemente entre nosotros. Estamos viendo que, por ejemplo, un 3.3, que sería una infracción donde 2 alumnos están peleando, hasta hoy en día tenemos 16 situaciones documentadas que han sucedido este año. Esto es solamente 38% de donde estábamos el año pasado. Si vemos las escuelas a nuestro alrededor, en total, ellos están en un 282 comparación de 433, ellos están al 65% de lo que estaba documentado el año pasado. So, nosotros estamos a un nivel más bajo en esa área. Si vemos también como el 4.5 es que un alumno se quería pelear con otro alumno, pero no era una pelea entre dos personas porque una de las personas no se involucró o no le respondió. Ahorita estamos solamente en 50% de lo que vimos el año pasado. El 4.6 es una pelea que sea más de dos alumnos se involucraron y ahorita tenemos este año 2 documentados del total que habíamos visto el año pasado, que eran 48. Entonces, al momento estamos solamente al 4% de lo que habíamos visto el año pasado, mientras otra de las escuelas a nuestro alrededor están a un 36% de lo que se había visto el año pasado. So, estamos viendo que en estas áreas estamos más bajos de lo que estamos viendo en las escuelas a nuestro alrededor. So, nos orgullece esta información porque nos orgullece decir que el trabajo de nuestro equipo de seguridad, el trabajo que está haciendo el equipo de Culture and Climate, el trabajo que estamos haciendo con el sistema de mentorship, con los SROs y también con miembros del equipo que hemos contratado este año, está teniendo un impacto positivo en nuestra habilidad a resolver conflicto y ayudar a alumnos a resolver esos conflictos entre ellos mismos para que no tengamos preocupaciones de seguridad dentro del edificio. Y ahora si gustan, pongo pausa para si gustan hacer una pregunta acerca de esta información.
Thank you, Ms. Paredes. So I will just move right along to within my report, my principal's report. I wanted to announce our student LSC rep elections were determined, and our winners for our student seats for next year are Ashley Guzman Teron, Ariana Pumphrey, and Jacob Speaker. Congratulations to them three. I'm going to hopefully they'll be able to make our next LSC meeting just so that they can give a basic introduction of themselves. But it was fun to run this election parallel to our mayoral election, and where students, it was all focused about voting. Another general announcement that we're happy to announce, our Democratic Participatory Budget Student Initiative determined through their system of voting an area where we are going to use our capital improvement grant provided by Senator Presión Zayas to renovate our restrooms here at Foreman. So again, this was a student-led initiative. So I'm just going to go back to translate in Spanish. Los representantes del concilio para el próximo año que viene, del concilio escolar aquí, que nosotros ahorita somos parte de, van a ser estos tres estudiantes, Ashley Guzmán Terón, Ariana Pumphrey y Jacob Speaker. Se hizo el voto durante el día cuando todos en la ciudad votamos para nuestros candidatos del mayor. También durante este día determinamos dónde vamos a poder usar los $300,000 de la senadora que nos dio para nuestra escuela para hacer arreglos en el edificio, y determinamos con los votos de los estudiantes que quieren más atención en renovar nuestros baños de la escuela. So vamos a empezar eso lo más pronto posible, pero hicimos este proceso para que los estudiantes voten. Dr. Lopez, go ahead.
If we could get those names dropped in the chat of the reps, I can add those to the minutes.
Sure thing.
I'll just email it to him.
Okay. Just updates around our CIWP priorities. Nada más quiero notar una de las cosas que estamos ahorita recientemente trabajando en nuestras metas de nuestro plan de mejorar como una escuela. We have an upcoming workshop focused on differentiated options for all things differentiation on March 24th for our teachers. That is part of our Flex Day PD. So again, differentiation is one of our CIWP foci, and we are up at the before the end of the month, we are doing a PD for our teachers. Ahorita, al fin del mes, estamos enfocándonos en un taller para nuestros maestros, trayéndoles un taller sobre la diferenciación de su instrucción y cómo hacer eso y cómo hacer esos cambios durante su instrucción en la escuela. Eso va a ser parte de nuestros líderes de instrucción en la escuela. That will be brought to us by our instructional leadership team at the school. Our MTSS team is currently working on data analysis of quarters 1 through 3, and then have begun to make adjustments to their quarter 4 continuous improvement cycle. So this is how teachers plan to create interventions when students struggle at different levels, and then talk about it at the grade level teams, and then that information gets trickled down to the respective departments. So they're planning out quarter 4 right now as we speak. They just recently had a meeting on that to plan out the last quarter. Ahorita este equipo de intervención están hablando sobre los datos de los primeros 3 periodos del año y están haciendo sus planes en cómo soportar los estudiantes y intervenir cuando están teniendo problemas académicas en las clases, o también problemas con su comportamiento y cuando necesiten diferentes tipos de apoyos. Este equipo del MTSS ahorita está planeando cómo se va a ver el último periodo del año. And again, just to highlight some of our priority 3 around student engagement, voice, and civic life, our FCCA, our Student Voice Committee, is still shaping the cell phone and dress code policy. Recently, Dr. Lopez reminded our staff of giving their input on the current drafts of these cell phone and dress code policy. Ahorita nuestro comité de estudiantes, de la voz de estudiantes, están pidiendo opiniones sobre los códigos que han escrito sobre el uso de los teléfonos y el código de cómo vestirse. Students, y como ya expliqué, cómo participaron en el proceso de votar para determinar los representantes estudiantiles para el concilio, ya hablamos de eso, y cómo votaron en este proceso democrático para determinar cómo usar estos $300,000 que nos dio la senadora Pasión Isaías. I wanted to give an update as to where the district is at with their CIWP process. It's been a slow rollout, and this week we have all instructional leadership teams being introduced to the process, but it hasn't officially started. And so I wanted to highlight this as one of the things that the district provided us to share what that CIWP creation process will look like. So right now, once they get all schools started, what they want us to develop is the CIWP team. And the principal of every school creates that CIWP team. And traditionally, what I like to do is get representatives of all our stakeholders involved. And it can be anywhere from 6 to, I believe it was 15 members that can be part of that CIWP team. Either way, I like to get groups of people involved, like small groups of parents, even though that small group of parents may not help make up the CIWP team, but at least we get more parent voice that way. We may get a group of students to get involved, but it may not be all students that are involved in this CIWP team. So the first step is to create the CIWP team, and then complete something that the district is calling the practice and performance reflection, which is going to be a way of a form of a survey where our school community continues to reflect on their practice and performance and narrows down or identifies what their priorities will be. And so the next step is to select those priorities after utilizing the reflection survey. The next thing is to define outcome goals. So if we identify, for example, with our current CIWP, we have our priorities around differentiation, MTSS structures, and student engagement. We then come out with outcome goals. Where do we hope to end up with these priorities? Then we conduct a root cause analysis for each priority. So why do we think we're struggling in these areas, and why do we think we need to make them as priorities? Then we develop a theory of action, which helps us verbalize and define what we want to accomplish within our priorities. We develop an implementation plan for this theory of action. So a list of things that we think are going to help us achieve in these three or in our priorities. And then we complete the fund compliance document. There's going to be a fund compliance document where they're going to help us, the district would help us think about how we can utilize our current budget to then make an impact in different parts of our CIWP, including outlining a parent and family plan, which is part of what the PAC already does within their Title I funding, and leveraging parents and families to make an impact at the school. And then once we outline all of those steps, then we seek for the final approval of our LSC. And right now, what they're indicating to us is that this date is going to fall in the fall, during the fall time. So probably in August or September, we would see the approval of the overall CIWP by the LSC. So estos son los pasos que nos están recomendando para hacer el plan de 3 años del CIWP, que significa el plan de 3 años que vamos a tener que hacer como un equipo de la escuela. Pero los primeros pasos es escoger el equipo de personas que nos van a ayudar en escribir este plan. Yo estoy de todos modos dedicado en traer grupos de estudiantes, grupos de padres para que nos den sus opiniones. De todos modos, vamos a hablar con grupos de diferentes personas y vamos a tener nuestro equipo que va a hacer el plan y escribir el plan separados. Y luego nos vamos a darle una encuesta a toda nuestra comunidad que el distrito está llamando práctica Practice and Performance Reflection. Es una reflexión de nuestra práctica como una escuela para poder determinar nuestras 3 metas que ellos quieren que nosotros seamos o escribimos de esta parte de este plan. Después de determinar esas 3 metas, quieren que nosotros investiguemos qué es lo que está causando la necesidad en estas 3 áreas y luego poner una meta un plan de acción con este equipo. Y también incluir cómo vamos a usar nuestros fondos para poder ayudar y soportar el plan, incluyendo los fondos que se le dan a los padres en el programa de PAC, que cada año se le da a nuestra escuela. Y al final de terminar todos estos pasos, traemos el plan al concilio aquí local y se hace el voto para determinar el plan. Ese es todo del reporte que tengo para ahorita. Muchísimas gracias.
So Ms. Tracy is not here. Mr. Garces, are you going to talk about a backup date or no? Thank you. Do you know when the next meeting is? Thank you. Ms. Alvarez, do you have an update for PAC?
Hi everyone, I'm here. Yes, I see that we are to lose some parents, but for the PAC meeting, about the trip for the Chicago architecture, we are gathering together to get 30 tickets. We are trying to get a bus or kind of limousine for parents to meet at the school. We're trying to get around 30 tickets for this trip. We're still debating between the date for be either May 5th or May 6th. We're giving priority, hopefully, to the parents that are assisting the meetings, which one will be on April 11th, and then we'll vote on having the designated date. But so far, those are our major points. Also, we got some parents that are interested in having some CPR classes, and we're looking into the providers. Hopefully, we'll be able to have someone or a provider from CPS that they can do the classes for the parents. Por ahora tenemos el comité de padres, estamos organizando un viaje en bote para Chicago. Esto estamos todavía organizando para votar qué día sería conveniente, si el 5 de mayo o el 6 de mayo. Estamos contemplando la posibilidad de que sean 30 tickets o tener un bus para que nos lleve. Y también estamos buscando proveedores dentro de las escuelas públicas de Chicago para clases de primeros auxilios. Nuestro próximo reunión sería para el 11 de abril y esperemos que para entonces ya podamos votar entre que sea el 5 o el 6 de mayo. That's all the information that I have and I can share for the PAC committee.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And is the next meeting going to be virtual again?
It will be April 11 after spring break. Believe
Yeah,
spring break.
Is it virtual or in person?
It's still going to be virtual.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Mr. Garces, did we get any FOIA requests?
My apologies. For the PAC meeting, when was the next date so I can put that in the minutes?
April 11th.
April 11th.
Right?
Yes, April 11th. After the spring break.
And then do we have a PPOC update? Thank you. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions about anything, or do we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn the meeting at 7 p.m.
We have a second?
I second that.
Dr. Lopez, you want to go ahead and have everybody vote?
Yes. Ms. Kearns?
Aye.
Mr. Garces? Myself, aye. Mr. Escamilla?
Aye.
Mr. Flores?
Aye.
Ms. Ruth Cruz?
She had to leave.
Okay. Victor Flamenco?
He reported he had to leave not too long ago.
Okay. Ms. Alexis Cordova?
Same.
Victor, I'm sorry, Ms. McKay?
Aye.
Is there anyone I did not call?
Thank you all for your patience. I know it was a long meeting. Just a reminder, the next meeting will be on April 11th. That will be our final meeting that is available to be attending virtually. Do you mind translating?
Para nuestra próxima junta, you said April 11th, right?
Yes.
El abril 11 va a ser nuestra próxima junta y va a ser la última junta que vamos a poder tener virtual. La junta en mayo se tiene que hacer en persona. So, muchísimas gracias a todos. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.